I woke up in my mother's body on the morning of Thanksgiving, staring at a face in the mirror that wasn't mine, wrinkled skin sagging under eyes that had cried too many tears for a family that never deserved them. The betrayal hit like a freight train. She'd swapped us, my own flesh and blood, to bury her sins in my youth while I rotted in her decaying shell. And as the first turkey baster hit the counter with a clang that echoed through the empty McMansion kitchen, I knew this holiday feast would be her last supper. It started 3 weeks earlier, in the fluorescent hell of that emergency room in suburban Chicago, where the air smelled like bleach and regret. I'd been rushing home from my dead-end barista gig, the kind where tips barely covered the rent on my shoebox apartment in Wrigleyville, when some asshole in a black Escalade clipped me at the light on Clark Street. Lights out. Next thing I know, I'm gasping awake in a hospital bed. But nothing feels right. The sheets are too crisp. The foredrip too heavy on an arm that's not mine. Panic clawed at my throat. But when I tried to scream, the voice that came out was a rasp, like sandpaper on gravel. My hands gnarled, veined, spotted with age, fumbled for the call button. That's when the mirror across the room caught my eye, a 68-year-old woman with silver-streaked hair and a face etched with lines from decades of bad decisions stared back.
Mom.
I was in my mother's goddamn body. Nurses rushed in, cooing about Mrs. Harlan's miraculous recovery after her freak aneurysm. Freak my ass. I knew better. Mom had been dodging doctor's appointments for years, popping bootleg pills from sketchy online pharmacies to chase her youth. But this was some black market experimental shit. The kind whispered about in those underground forums for the desperate rich. She'd done it, swapped us. Used my fresh 28-year-old body to claw back her prime while shoving me into her worn-out husk. All to keep her secrets buried deeper than the foundation of our family home in Naperville. The betrayal burned hotter than the morphine drip they finally pushed. Mom, Eleanor Harlan, queen of the PDA bake sales and neighborhood wine moms, had always played the saint. Widowed young after Dad's accident on that icy I-88 overpass back in '05, she'd raised me and my brother Jake alone. Or so the story went. But I knew the cracks. The late-night whispers on the phone. The locked drawer in her vanity spilling Polaroids of men who weren't Dad. And Jake, golden boy Jake. The one she'd poured every dime into for his Ivy League law degree. The one who'd ghosted me after I dropped out of community college to find myself. They'd all treated me like the family black sheep, the disappointment who couldn't keep a man or a job. In the hospital, I played along at first, mumbling through the fog of sedatives, piecing it together from the charts, simultaneous incidents. My car wreck timed perfectly with her collapse at the country club spa. Coincidence? Bullshit. She'd orchestrated it, paying off some quack surgeon in a fly-by-night clinic off Michigan Avenue. The goal? Restart her life in my skin. Free from the arthritis, the hot flashes, the IRS audits sniffing around Dad's shady construction deals. And me, the disposable daughter, left to fade away in her body, taking the fall for it all. Discharged after a week, me, in her creaky frame, shuffling out in orthopedic shoes, I drove her Lexus back to the house on Willowbrook Lane. The key fob felt alien in my liver-spotted hand. Inside, the place reeked of lavender potpourri and lies. I rifled her desk, finding the contract, a nondescript LLC invoice for neurological transfer protocol, $750,000 wired from an offshore account. Dad's hidden nest egg. The one he'd squirreled away from his union bribes. She'd killed him for it. Hadn't she? That accident wasn't black ice. It was her foot on the brake in the passenger seat, staging it to look like he'd swerved. My hands, her hands, trembled as I lit a cigarette. The first in years, inhaling deep until the nicotine buzz sharpened the rage. Jake wasn't on it. His emails to her, buried in the laptop. Sis won't suspect a thing once she's settled. We'll split the rest after the holidays. Thanksgiving. The big family blowout at Aunt Lydia's in Oak Park, where Mom, now me, technically would unveil her transformation as some miracle diet. No invite for the real me. Of course. The fuck-up June, who'd burned bridges with everyone after one too many drunken voicemails calling out their hypocrisy. I crushed the cig in a crystal ashtray, ashes scattering like confetti for a funeral. They thought they could erase me, bury me in this body like Dad's ghost under the overpass? Fine. I'd go to that dinner. I'd walk in as Eleanor Harlan, all pearls and passive-aggressive smiles, and unravel their perfect little charade thread by thread. Revenge wasn't a dish best served cold. It was Thanksgiving turkey, stuffed with arsenic and served piping hot. The days blurred into a fever dream of preparation. I practiced her walk in front of the full-length mirror, mincing steps, hand fluttering to the pearls like she was perpetually mid-gossip. Her wardrobe hung like a noose, Chanel suits and sensible heels, all bought with blood money. I dyed the silver streaks back to her old honey blonde, slathered on the Estee Lauder foundation to mask the sallow skin. But inside, it was June Harlan screaming, plotting. First, the loose ends. I called the clinic, voice quivering just right. Doctor, it's Eleanor. The transfer. It's not holding. Headaches. Blackouts.
Lies.
All of it, but enough to spook him into spilling. Under threat of a malpractice suit, bluffing with Jake's law firm letterhead I'd swiped, he confessed. The procedure was irreversible without a counter-serum. Locked in a safe at his Lakeview office. And the real kicker? Mom had paid extra for amnesia induction, a neural wipe to make me forget who I was in her body. But something had glitched. I remembered everything. Her affair with Dad's business partner. The one that tanked the company. The forged documents pinning the embezzlement on me, June. The unreliable daughter who'd signed blank checks in a haze of depression meds she'd slipped me. That's why they'd cut me off. I was the fall guy. The patsy, holding the bag for their crimes. I broke into the clinic that night, her frail body aching as I jimmied the back door with a credit card. The safe cracked easy, combo from her calendar app, Jake's birthday. The vial glowed under the desk lamp, labeled Reversal, Harlan Prime.
Prime.
As in, her prime body. My body. I pocketed it, along with the patient files proving the swap. Evidence. Leverage. But I didn't take it yet.
No.
This poison needed to simmer. Thanksgiving Eve. I hosted the pre-dinner at her house, inviting the neighbors over for mulled wine and small talk. That's when I dropped the first bomb, casual chat about Dad's death. Slipping in, the autopsy report never added up. Brakes tampered, they said. Gasps rippled through the room like dominoes. Old man Hargrove from next door choked on his Merlot. Eleanor. You never. I smiled her crocodile smile.
Oh.
I just remembered. Must be the new meds. Seeds planted. Whispers would spread by morning. The real June, trapped in my body, parading as the prodigal daughter returned, texted from Aunt Lydia's. Mom. The car's acting up. Can I borrow yours for tomorrow? Irony dripped like gravy. I replied in her clipped tone. Of course.
Dear.
Keys under the mat. But I'd already slashed the tires and doused the engine in sugar syrup. Stranded.
Perfect.
As dawn broke on Thanksgiving, I slipped into her best cashmere sweater, the one that hugged curves she'd stolen from me. The drive to Oak Park was a gauntlet of traffic on the Eisenhower. Her radio tuned to some Godolphin classical station, Bach's Requiem.
Fitting.
My heart, her heart, pounded with a mix of terror and thrill. This body was weak, lungs wheezing from years of denial about the emphysema. But the fire in my gut was all mine. June's. The girl they'd discarded like yesterday's latte grounds. Aunt Lydia's colonial loomed like a gingerbread trap, driveway clogged with Suburbans and the faint scent of brine from the brining bird. I parked at the curb, vial tucked in my garter like a flask of forbidden whiskey, old school femme fatale. Because why not lean into the camp? The front door swung open before I knocked. Cousin Becca air-kissing my cheek. Aunt Ellie, you look radiant. Whatever you're doing,
Bottle it.
radiant.
Ha.
If only she knew it was my collagen they were admiring.
Inside.
The house thrummed with forced cheer, kids shrieking in the basement, uncles hollering at the Lions game on TV. And there, at the kitchen island, was me, June in my body, chopping celery with a knife that gleamed too sharp. She looked up, eyes widening a fraction before the mask snapped on.
Mom.
You made it. The word Mom slithered out like venom. Up close, the swap was uncanny, my freckles on her Botox-smooth skin, my hazel eyes staring back with her calculating gleam. Jake lounged nearby, tie loosened, nursing a bourbon, early for noon. Sis, he drawled, clinking glasses with Uncle Ray. Long time. Heard you had a rough patch. Rough patch. That's what they called framing me for felony fraud. The kind that could have landed me in Logan Square women's lockup. I forced her laugh, light and tinkling.
Oh. Jake.
Water under the bridge. Past the vermouth. The table was set for 20, crystal gleaming under chandeliers. Cornucopia centerpiece spilling faux gourds like entrails. I took my seat, head of the table, her throne, and surveyed the kingdom. Lydia fussing with the rolls. Aunt Marge droning about her essential oils scam. The real players, Mom in my skin. Playing the contrite daughter, Jake. The puppeteer, and the ghost of Dad, hovering in every framed photo. Dinner commenced with grace. Hands clasped in a circle that excluded me from the warmth. Prayers for abundance. For family unity lies. All of it. As the turkey carved, juices pooling like blood, I waited for the lull. Then, casual as pie. Jake, remember that offshore account? The one Dad left for emergencies? Forks paused midair. Jake's jaw tightened, bourbon sloshing. What account? Mom, I leaned in, voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper she loved. The $2 million from the union kickbacks. I found the transfer records. To your firm,
Dear.
and that clinic in Lakeview? Quite the fee for a consult. Silence crashed like a dropped platter. Mom, my body, choked on her green beans, eyes darting to Jake. Ellie, what are you? June, I corrected softly, her own pearl earrings swaying as I tilted my head. It's June, isn't it? In here. Gasps erupted. Aunt Marge crossed herself. Kids peeking from the doorway. Jake surged up. Chair scraping. Have you lost it? That aneurysm must have. But I was ready. sliding the clinic files across the damask cloth like a dealer flipping cards. Photos of the OR, consent forms with my signature, forged, dated prereq. Read it and weep. Brother. Mom here. I jabbed a finger at my own face. Twisted in horror, swapped us. Used Dad's dirty money to buy herself a do-over. And you? You covered it up. Pinned the fraud on me, the real me, so I'd take the heat if the feds came knocking. Chaos bloomed. Lydia shrieked, Eleanor. Is this true? Uncle Ray snatched the papers. Glasses slipping down his nose. Mom lunged for them. But I was faster. Her body might be frail. But spite's a hell of a steroid. I held them aloft. Voice steady. She killed him.
You know. Dad.
Brakes cut on that overpass. For the money. For this. I gestured to myself. The stolen shell. Jake's face purpled. You bitch. You're not her. You're nothing. He grabbed my arm, her arm, twisting until bone creaked. Pain flared. But I laughed. Low and ugly. Touch me again. And those files go viral. Thanksgiving special. Harlan family freak show. The room fractured. Cousins herded kids upstairs. Aunts dialing lawyers. Irony of ironies. Mom collapsed into her chair, my chair, sobbing crocodile tears that smeared my mascara. June. Please. It was for us. For the family. For us. I spat, rising unsteadily, vial clinking in my pocket. You buried me alive in this corpse. Framed me for your thefts. Told everyone I was the crazy one, the addict. So no one would believe me when I said you poisoned my antidepressants to keep me docile. The accusation hung.
Controversial a maga hatatavigön potlák.
Whispers turned to shouts. Poison. Eleanor. Jake bolted for the door. But I blocked it. Her petite frame somehow imposing in the frenzy. Going somewhere? Cops are en route. Courtesy of that anonymous tip from Eleanor's phone. Tampering with brakes? That's murder one. Sirens wailed distant. Closing in like the noose tightening. Mom clawed at my sleeve, her sleeve. Take it back. The reversal, it's in my purse. Twist of the knife. She'd lied. The vial was bait. A decoy she'd planted to lure me into confession on tape. Jake's idea. The files revealed. But I'd switched it that morning, pouring the real serum into her flask of therapeutic gin. She'd sipped it with her morning Bloody Mary. Body already rebelling. Nausea. Vertigo. The swap unraveling from the inside. As blue lights flashed through the lace curtains, she convulsed. My face, her stolen prize, contorting in agony.
June.
What did you? I knelt, whispering so only she heard. Karma's the real feast.
Mom.
Enjoy the indigestion. Cuffs clicked on Jake first, then her. As paramedics swarmed, the family watched, splintered, some weeping, others filming for the gram. Because America.
Me?
I stood in her body, free but fractured. As the reversal hit like lightning, skin tightening, hair darkening, bones knitting back to 28. I collapsed amid the shattered china, waking later in an ambulance. Truly me again. But the real hook? As they wheeled me out, Aunt Lydia pressed a check into my hand, reparations from the family fund. Jake's assets seized. Mom's empire crumbled. Happy ending? Or just trading one cage for a lawsuit-riddled freedom? You decide. All I know is, next Thanksgiving, I'll eat alone. And it'll taste like victory.
No.
That wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. As the gurney rattled into the ER bay under the sodium glow of Cook County Hospital's pork cochere, the reversal serum coursed through me like cheap tequila, burning, disorienting, but oh so satisfying. Nurses buzzed around, mistaking my convulsions for another stroke. But I caught glimpses in the overhead lights, my hands smoothing out, fingers lengthening from arthritic claws to the callous barista's grip I remembered. My reflection in a crash cart mirror flickered, silver to honey, wrinkles to faint laugh lines. June Harlan, back in her own skin, rising from the ashes of Mom's meticulously curated hell. They sedated me lightly, enough to blur the edges. But not before I overheard the cops in the hall. Harlan? Yeah. The swap thing's blowing up. Feds want her for the father's homicide. Brothers looking at conspiracy. Good. Let the dominoes fall. I drifted off to the beep of monitors, dreaming of that empty chair at Lydia's table. Now a symbol not of exclusion, but of the void I'd carved in their ranks. Waking in a private room, perks of being the victim in a scandal this juicy, I pieced together the fallout from the TV bolted to the wall. CNN ticker. Chicago family implodes in bizarre body swap allegation. Murder probe launched. Grainy footage of the Oak Park house. Yellow tape fluttering like holiday streamers. Interviews with neighbors. Eleanor? Always seemed so put together. This is Naperville. For God's sake, not some sci-fi flick. A detective poked her head in around noon. Badge glinting. Detective Ruiz. All no-nonsense bun and coffee breath. MS. Harlan, you the one who called it in? I nodded. Throat raw from the tube they'd yanked.
Yeah.
It's all in the files. The clinic. The money trail, follow it back to the overpass. She flipped through a manila folder, eyebrows climbing. This reads like a Grisham novel. Your mom's confessing bits, says you poison her. That true? Controversial decision numero uno. Do I lie to bury her deeper? Or truth it up and risk looking like the vengeful harpy? I chose the gray area. American as apple pie with a cyanide twist. Self-defense. She dosed me for years, benzos in my coffee.
To keep me foggy.
The serum? It was hers. I just returned the favor. Ruiz's pen paused, eyes narrowing. We'll need a full statement. But off record? Ballsy move.
Kid.
Most folks would have lawyered up and vanished. Ballsy. That's one word for it. Reckless was another. As she left, my phone, miraculously intact in my jeans pocket, lit up with voicemails. Becca. June? Oh my God. Is it really you? Mom's catatonic, says you're the devil.
Delete.
Jake's public defender. Your brother's denying everything. Wants to know if you'll drop charges for a plea. Laughable. I texted back. Tell him to enjoy county. No deal. The hospital kept me overnight for observation. Neural echo, they called the lingering vertigo. Like my brain was still mapping the wrong highways. That's when the secrets started bubbling up. Unbidden. Flashes from her mind. Neural bleed from the botched swap. Dad's last words. Slurred in the car. Ellie? The kid.
June.
She's innocent, before the world spun into black. Her laughter, cold as Lake Michigan wind, as she pocketed his phone and keyed the ignition. And deeper, the affair, not just one partner,
But a web.
Dad's foreman, the union rep, even Aunt Lydia's husband, Ray, the holier-than-thou grill master. She'd played them all, siphoning funds until the house of cards teetered. I was the scapegoat because I was closest, trusted, disposable. By discharge the next day, the media circus had pitched tents outside. Z-vans, local news crews with mics like harpoons. I slipped out a side door in scrubs, Ubering to my old apartment, evicted. Naturally. But the super let me in for old times. The place was a tomb. Dust on the espresso maker. Mail piled like indictments. I showered off the hospital funk, water scalding my reclaimed skin. And for the first time, felt the weight lift. But revenge? It itched like a fresh tattoo. They'd regretted Thanksgiving. Sure. But I wanted them haunted. Every holiday. Every family photo. Tainted. Decision 2. Go public or ghost. The viral Route 1. I posted the files, redacted for the gory bits, on a throwaway TikTok. Caption: They stole my body and my life. Here's the receipts. Body swap scandal Harlan horror. Views exploded. 10K. 50K. 1 million by sundown. Comments flooded. Conspiracy nuts calling it deep state tech. Feminists hailing me as the ultimate Me Too avenger. Trolls photoshopping my face on sci-fi posters. Offers rolled in. Podcasters. True crime docs. Even a ghostwriter for a memoir deal. But the real prize? Jake's wife. Tara, the step-forward clone who'd unfriended me years ago, DM'd at 2 a.m. June. He's crumbling. Confessed the framing to me. Divorce papers drawn. Can we talk? For the kids. The kids, my niece and nephew. Gap-toothed innocents who'd called me Aunt Junie before the exile. Controversial as hell. Forgive for blood. Or burn it all. I met her at a dive in Logan Square. Neon buzzing live bait over our corner booth. She slid across a manila envelope. Custody docs. Half the house in Oak Park. He's done. But Ellie, your mom, she's begging for visitation. Says she sees you now. In the mirror. The swap's reversing slow. She's aging fast in your body. Schadenfreude soured to something darker. C'est me. After shoving me into her grave, Tara's eyes welled. Real tears. Not mom's theater. She's broken.
June.
Dementia setting in from the neural damage. Remembers everything. Hates herself for it.
Pity? Nah.
But leverage?
Yes.
I pocketed the envelope. Tell her I'll visit. On my terms. The weeks blurred into a tense standoff. I crashed at Becca's, ironic sanctuary. Her Lincoln Park walk-up smelling of patchouli and takeout pad thai. She grilled me nightly. Was it worth it? The family's in pieces. I'd shrug. Nursing IPAs. They were never family. Just a franchise of frauds. Meanwhile, the feds built their case. Wire fraud. Manslaughter upgraded to murder, with the brake residue matching mom's garage tools. Jake flipped first. Plea for 10 to 20. Testifying she orchestrated dad's death to fund her youth quest. The trial loomed like a storm front. Set for spring in the Dirksen Federal Building, Chicago's Coliseum of Justice. But the climax brewed closer to home. Christmas Eve. A knock shattered the quiet, Mom. In my fading body. Bundled in a parka too big for her shrinking frame. Gray streaked the hair already. Skin splotching like overripe fruit. June, she croaked. My voice cracking around the edges. Let me in. Please. Controversial as letting a vampire cross the threshold. I barred the door. Chain rattling. What? Come to swap back. Too late. You drank the poison. Her eyes, my eyes, pleaded through the crack. I didn't mean. The affair. The money, it spiraled. Dad found out. threatened to cut you in, send you to college proper. I panicked. The brakes. It was an impulse. Impulse. The word ignited the powder keg. I yanked the door wide, dragging her inside by the collar, strength all mine now. Impulse? You framed me, told the world I was the junkie daughter. ODing on pills you spiked. My fist connected with her, my jaw. A dull thud that echoed my own reckoning. She crumpled. Blood, my blood, trickling from a split lip.
No gore.
Just the raw slap of reckoning. She curled fetal on the rug, sobbing. Forgive me. Be my daughter again. The twist hit then. Sharp as a stiletto. In her ravings, the truth inverted. It wasn't just me, she gasped.
Jake.
He was there that night. Held the wool steady while I cut the line. For the inheritance. We both did it for you. To keep you safe from the mess. Safe? The lie shattered last illusions. Brother and mother. Tag-teaming patricide. Then orphaning me in their guilt. I hauled her up, dialing 911 with one hand, Ruiz with the other. She's confessing. Both of them. As cops swarmed again, lights painting the walls red and blue. Mom's gaze locked on mine, fading, accusatory. You'll regret this.
June.
Family's all we got. But as they cuffed her, the reversal completed. Her body, mine, wrinkled fully, collapsing into Eleanor's true age. Mine stayed young, vital. Regret? Not a chance. Spring thawed Chicago's iron grip, but the trial froze everything else in amber. Dirkson's corridors hummed with suits and whispers, metal detectors beeping like accusatory heartbeats. I testified second weekend, perched in the witness box under fluorescent judgment, my voice steady as I laid it bare. The swap, the sabotage, the stolen years. Jurors leaned in, blue-collar types from the South Side, faces creased with their own grudges. She didn't just take my body, I said, locking eyes with Mom across the courtroom. She took my name, erased me so she could play innocent while the wolves circled. Mom, 68 going on ancient in my once youthful shell, sat shackled. Hair fully silver. Skin papery as onion skin. The reversal had ravaged her, accelerating time like a cruel fast-forward. Jake flanked her, gaunt in his orange jumpsuit, trading glares with the gallery where Tara sat with the kids, their small hands clasped like prayer beads. The defense painted it as delusion, MS. Harlan's aneurysm-induced confabulation, a tragic mix of grief and gaslighting. But the evidence mounted like snowdrifts, brake shavings, wire transfers time-stamped to the clinic, Jake's emails plotting my disappearance, and the star turn? Dad's dashcam footage. Recovered from a cloud backup I'd anonymously tipped the feds to, grainy but damning, Mom in the passenger seat. Tool in hand, Jake's silhouette in the rearview as the car fishtailed into the guardrail. Verdicts dropped like guillotines, Mom. Life without parole for murder 1 and fraud, Jake. 25 concurrent for conspiracy and perjury. The gallery erupted, cheers from reporters. Sobs from distant cousins who'd shown for the spectacle. I slipped out a side exit, avoiding the mic's thrust like bayonets. Becca waited in the hall, arms open. You did it?
June.
Justice. Justice. The word tasted like chalk. As we drove back to her place, my new crash pad, rent covered by the memoir advance, the radio droned analysis, a cautionary tale of American excess, wealth, vanity, the illusion of family. Pundits debated, Was I hero or homewrecker? Avenger or accelerant to dysfunction? Forums lit up with polls. Should June have let it go for the kids? 50-50 split. Sparking bar fights in hypothetical heartlands. Summer simmered in, hot and unforgiving. I landed a gig, ghost consultant for a Netflix docuseries. Swap secrets, ironizing my own erasure. Checks cleared. Enough to buy back my old apartment, now with a balcony view of the L rattling by like commuter ghosts. Tara reached out again. The kids miss Aunt Junie. Barbecue next weekend. Controversial call 3. Rebuild or raise. I went. Paper plates greasy with ribs. The boy tugging my sleeve. Why'd Grandma hurt you? Kid logic. Brutal as a gut punch. Evil's like a bad recipe, I said, ruffling his hair. Starts with one lie, ends in a mess.
Tara overheard.
Nodding fierce. We're done with that bloodline. You're family now if you want.
Want.
The question gnawed through fall. Leaves turning Trader Gold on Michigan Avenue. Thanksgiving loomed again. Invitations trickling in, Lydia's tentative email. No pressure. But the table feels empty without.
Well.
You know. I deleted it. Opting for solo. Turkey pot pie from Jewel Osco. Netflix queue heavy on revenge flicks. But the itch returned. Darker now. Secrets still festered. Ray's affair. Buried but not exhumed. One night. Buzzed on Malort. I drove to his bungalow in Berwyn. Gravel crunching under tires. He answered in boxers and bewilderment. June? Christ. The news. I shoved past. Vile replica, empty prop, from my purse glinting in the porch light. Aunt Lydia knows. Doesn't she? About you and Mom. The money you funneled. His bluff crumbled fast. Confessions over cores. The affair a symptom of Mom's web. Ray the weak link who'd forged the embezzlement docs to protect his slice. She threatened my pension.
Kid.
Said you'd never know. I didn't hit him. Just left the files on his kitchen table. Anonymous 911 queued on my phone. Clean it up. Or I will. Drive home. Windows down. Wind whipping tears I hadn't earned. Catharsis? Or just kicking corpses? Winter bit hard. Snow muffling the city like a shroud. Christmas. I hosted small circle. Becca. Tara. The kids. Even Ruiz for eggnog and war stories. Laughter echoed. Tentative but real. Toasting new beginnings over a tree strung with LED stars. But as midnight tolled, my phone buzzed. Prison collect from Mom.
June.
It's bad. The cancer, accelerated from the serum. Months. Maybe. The line crackled. Her voice a wheeze. Come see me. End it right.
Bikik alcohol.
The debate raged internal. American dream deferred. Forgive the monster. Or let her rot in the cage she'd built. I hung up, staring at the twinkling lights. Forgiveness was a luxury for the unbroken. I was mosaic. Cracks gilded with spite. New Year's. I visited. Danville Correction. Gray as regret. Barbed wire framing the visitation room like a bad tattoo. She shuffled in. My old body a specter, chemo-bald. Eyes sunken in familiar sockets. You came.
No hags.
Just plexiglass and handset. Not for you. For me. Lies spilled. Her regrets. The love twisted into control. Jake's grooming from boyhood schemes. We thought we'd give you everything security. But fear. It poisons. Like you poison me? The words hung. Controversial closure. She nodded, tears tracing ravines.
Yes.
And I'm sorry. Truly. I pressed the glass. Forehead to cold barrier. Sorry doesn't swap back time. But it rhymes. The guards signaled end. I stood. Vial, real this time. Procured from the clinic's ashes, slipping from my sleeve. One last gift. Her eyes widened as I accidentally dropped it into the return slot. Serum pooling on her side. Reversal's moot now. But peace? Drink up. She did. Gulping the placebo, saline. Harmless, as I walked away. Lie or liberation? Her death came quiet. 6 weeks later. Natural causes, the obit read. Jake's appeal denied, he wrote once. From Supermax. You won.
Sis.
But at what cost?
Cost.
The final twist, in her effects. A letter to me, unsealed. June, if you read this, know the overpass was an impulse. It was mercy. Your father. He was coming for you next. The affairs. The debts he'd framed you years prior. To run with his mistress. I stopped him. For you. Inverted truth. Dagger to the gut. Dad the villain? Mom the twisted savior? Or both? Irredeemable? The family I'd torched deserved the pyre. But the ashes choked me.
Now.
Another Thanksgiving dawns. Frost on the magnificent mile. I host again bigger circle. Strays from the barista days. Misfits like me. The table groans with sides. No empty chairs. Laughter rings true. Debates over pie, politics. Podcasts. The ethics of my story. Hero? Villain? Survivor. I raise a glass. To ghosts and grudges. To regrets. Deep. Deserved. And done. They toast. Oblivious to the vial in my pocket. Souvenir.
Not serum.
Regret?
Nah.
Just the spice that makes the feast. In the end, they regretted not inviting me. But I regret nothing. America's all about second acts, baby. And mine's just starting.